All right, so let's talk about the comments that Kanye West made. A lot of people are upset. Um, I'm not, because I think we're in this social media age time or world where we feel like just because somebody has a platform or they've been successful, that automatically qualifies them to speak on certain things, and it doesn't. I'm not just talking about Kanye West in general, even though we're going to get to that topic. But just because somebody has a certain status level, or like if somebody on social media and they have 50 shares, does not mean it's correct. Just because somebody have 100 likes does not mean it's correct. Or for us to really what I'm saying, look, because we should do research, but believe what is truth. That's why we can look at nowadays. We're still dealing with a lot of racism and everything like that, and people have been taught that. Just like Martin Luther King said, saying hate cannot drive out hate, only love can drive out hate. And so, imagine, a white kid being taught his whole life about racism and, saying about hatred, not just racism, but just hatred towards one whole race. And then as they get older, they saw certain stuff of, certain races, and then all of a sudden they just hate because of that. And so what happens is, we're mad at the person when it's really taught. And the only way to combat that is with love. I was watching a video on YouTube, actually on Facebook as well, saying the guy admitted he was racist, and he said, it was what he was taught. He said these are these feelings that he had, that he was taught, and he said, I don't want to live like that no more. And so, long story made short, the black lady, it was like a radio show or something like that, or a show, and he called in, and she went down to visit him. They sat down, they talked about it, and I mean, it was like 13 million people that viewed it or looked at it or commented or whatever like that. And he said, you know what, if my insecurities can help make this world, kind of like, I'm kind of paraphrasing, can make this world a better place, then that's a good thing. And so that's what we have to understand. So let's get down to what we were talking about in Kanye West. So I'm going to give you a breakdown of what Kanye West said. So anytime journalists are supposed to, and I went to school for this as being a journalist, but anytime journalists, do research or something like that, we're supposed to get facts, and we're supposed to get, proper sources. So I watched a video on YouTube. It's, if you type in Kanye West rant and TMZ official extended cut, TMZ is 12 minutes and 14 seconds, so you can get the one he was talking about. So everybody was mad at, he said, slavery was a choice. And I mean, we look at Harriet Tubman, which we know who that she is, but she was born into slavery. Tubman escaped and made about 13 missions to rescue approximately 70 people through the Underground Railroad. And some people be like, well, I just think all white people are bad, saying because they were slave owners and stuff like this. But we have to understand, even as blacks, that there were some good white people. They helped us, saying it's still like that. In every ethnicity there is good and bad people. We just got to put it like that. Saying yes, some were some slave owners, but there were some good people, saying that helped. If it wasn't for that, Harriet Tubman wouldn't have been able to do what she did. But if you just look at what Kanye West, what he was saying, he said, that he was drugged the F out, and said he was addicted to opioids. So we understand opioids is a drug, right? So I went to www.drugabuse.government, and it says opioids are a class of drugs that include the illegal drug heroin, and also www.drugfreeworld.org. Opioids are drugs that act on the nervous system to relieve the pain. Continued use and abuse can lead to physical dependence and withdrawal symptoms. They come in tablets, capsules, or liquid. Now, keep in mind that he was $53 million in debt. So we understand that, people want to relieve pain because that's what opioids do. So, and you may be asking, like, why are you, quoting where you get these, saying facts from or whatever like that? Because, a lot of people are out here on social media and they become these stars or whatever, saying, and they just say stuff and they don't have anything behind it, but it sounds good. So what happens? People just start to believe it. It sounds good, so I'm just going to, believe whatever they say. So what are prescription opioids? So opioids are a class of drugs normally found in the opium poppy plant. Some prescription opioids are made from the plant directly, and others are made by scientists in labs using the same chemical structure. So we're not even real sure what type of opioids he got. Is it really from the opioid, from the opium poppy plant, or is it some scientists that just made this stuff up? We got to look at it. I mean, understanding that the medical business is about making money. Think about it. That's how they continue to make money, because, people need medicine, they want to get away from their problems or whatever like that. And let me look at how does prescription opioids affect the brain. Opioids, they bind and activate opioid receptors on cells located in many areas of the brain, spinal cord, and other organism in the body, especially those involved in feelings of pain and pleasure. When opioids attach to the receptors, they block pain signals sent from the brain, sent to the brain from the body, and to release. Hold on a second, my allergy. Excuse me, right there. It's an allergy, so it has in my nose. So let me get back to this. So from the brain, body. Right, so they block pain signals sent from the brain to the body and release large amounts of dopamine throughout the body. This release can strongly reinforce the act of taking the drug, making the user want to repeat the experience. What are some possible effects of prescription opioids on the body and the brain? So, because he said he was taking them, I'm going to get back into that as to how many he was taking and how much he was taking. In the short term, opioids can relieve pain and make people feel relaxed and happy. So, however, opioids can also have harmful effects, including drowsiness, confusion, nausea, constipation, euphoria, slow breathing, and can have permanent brain damage. Now, they are doing studies, as it says, if you read on that website, that they are trying to see if, it can, they can repair what happens, brain damage. So again, Kanye said, just doing what the spirit calls him to do, whatever spirit that he's talking about. I mean, he did say that, he's talking about the universe, what the universe tells him what to do. And then he said 2 days after he got off of opioids. So this is the story behind it. So when he said he got married, when he was getting married to Kim, 2 days before that, he had got, if you watch the video, it said that he had, had liposuction because he didn't want pee. He said, I was trying to get skinny. He didn't want to be fat for you guys, referring to the people, because he was talking to TMZ. And he took liposuction. We have to understand that sometimes, in life, we always try to appeal to other people, and people really just don't care. They're going to talk about you regardless. I mean, you can be, I've known people that are so skinny and, to me, and they'll be like, oh, well, I'm fat. And I'm like, you nowhere near fat. Like, you know what I'm saying? But that's just their what they believe to themselves, So 2 days after he got off opioids, he said he went to the hospital and had plastic surgery because he was trying to look good for y'all people. And he had liposuction. Stated how he didn't want to be called fat. Now, after he made this comment about slavery was a choice, he lost 10 million followers. Just dropped like that. So we can see how the power of words can affect. And it says after slavery was a choice, that's what he said it was. I mean, looking at that, I mean, I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to do things better. Now, if you look at certain facts, and this is what happens with people, they take a little bit of information, because he was talking about being a free thinker, and they just think whatever they want to think. But if you look back at slavery, there was people that always tried to revolt, You even have Kunta Kinte and, and a lot of people that tried to, fight and stuff like that. And there were people that were killed. And, when he said that, we outnumbered them. Yeah, but they had guns and, and they had resources, to take a lot of people out. Like one person with a certain type of weapon can take out a lot of people. So we just got to look at it like that, with the facts and everything like that, And he said it required him to take 2 pills a day, and he said he was addicted. Then he said after he stopped taking them, he had to go to the hospital, and then he ended up taking they prescribed him to take 7 a day. He said that he was scared of himself. So if he's scared of himself, then I mean, he's scared of whatever he's thinking or whatever like that. Because think about it, if you're scared of yourself, then you can hurt yourself. You know what I'm saying? But regardless of the fact, we do need to pray for this brother. You know what I'm saying? Said, and then he said, he was just taking maybe one or two a week. And then he said after he took those tweets down, and what I'm saying, because, obviously he made that and he was impaired. Now there's one thing. And then he said TMZ is the hospital to fix the world. We know what TMZ is. TMZ is, they like to put stuff up there with drama. That's just what they are, you know what I'm saying, with celebrities going through stuff. I mean, that's what they like, you know what I'm saying. They like drama. So, when I was in school, you know what I'm saying, and also if you go on www.mrmediatraining.com, there's 11 things that are really newsworthy, or we would get in trouble. So one is conflict. We know what that is. Anything pretty much dramified. Two is it local? You know what I'm saying? Because if talking about what's local, like around your community, you know what I'm saying. But when it's something like a big celebrity, then that is, you say local to everybody, because he said slavery is a choice, therefore it became local to everybody in the community, everybody in the black community. 3, incident. 4, extremes or superlatives. You can go read and they'll elaborate on each one. 5, new. 6, timely and relevant. So when you say timely and relevant, you can say, well, it's old or whatever, it's new. So because he said slavery was a choice, that pulls in a lot of people, because it was relevant to the people that had slaves, and relevant to people where their parents or grandparents were slaves or anything like that. 7, scandal. So we know how that is. 8, David versus Goliath. So kind of like that, kind of like the big guy versus the little giant, or whatever like that, saying kind of like the underdog, whatever, in sports or whatever the case may be. 9, incompetence. 10, surprising. 11, hypocrisy. So we look at the term drunk. It's affected by alcohol to the extent of losing control of one's faculties or behavior. Drugged, as he stated, of a person of unconscious or a stupor as a result, or taking and being given drug opium. Excuse me. So with all that being said, we gotta. It's time for the true leaders to step up. So I know people like, oh, he said that or whatever. Look, it's time, because we have a lot of people that we feel like should be role models. And Charles Barkley said it best. He said, I'm not no role model. So what he was saying was, don't look at me to be a role model. And sometimes we put a lot of I don't want to say stress, not the term I'm using, but saying, we kind of put a lot of burdens on people to be role models, and some people just aren't going to be good role models. They're going to do whatever they want to do, regardless of the fact, you know what I'm saying? And I know, like, when you were little, we grew up and we was like, I want to be like Mike, or I want to be like LeBron, or who, Allen Iverson, or whoever the case may be, or football, you know what I'm saying? And I based mine off of Tim Brown, you know what I'm saying? So he was a man of faith. So I wanted to be like that. I look up to like Martin Luther King, and, he was always my favorite person. But it's like, who are we trying to follow? And so, with that being said, if Kanye West can say something like that, because we gotta look at the fact of, think about it. He had just took a picture, and he was like, let's make America, with the hat on, make America great again. So we got to look at the fact of, when Kanye West said, I'm just doing whatever the, what he said, whatever the universe, tells me. So if he's drugged and he's, some of the symptoms they're talking about, what is the universe saying? And also too, who is he talking to? Because, we can be influenced by somebody and we think that's the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? And listen, don't get me wrong. Like, I think he's trying to, be a positive light, for people of color and anything like that. But it's just how you got to go about it. And, think about it, what I'm saying? When we listen to people, you can tell when somebody is off, or when somebody is struggling, you know what I'm saying? But it's time, like I said, with all this happened, it's time for the real leaders to stand up, you know what I'm saying? And, talk about it in a way that can bring positive to the community, you know what I'm saying, to better, because, we just feel like because, they may be a great rapper, or they may have made a lot of money and success, that we just supposed to follow them, listen to what they said. Nah, some people get that money and then, money changed them. They want to party and they do these drugs, because a lot of this, with coping with life, these coping mechanisms that are unhealthy, just like he said, at times, if you watch the video, he said that he was, you know what I'm saying, asking the one dude to bring him some weed. So you got to look at that. Like if you just took a opioid, you know what I'm saying, and then you smoke marijuana or whatever the case with it like that, like you got them combining together. So, you know what I'm saying, we just got to, you know what I'm saying, it's time that, you know what I'm saying, that we got to teach our kids and, you know what I'm saying, and use our social media and our platforms to bring positive light. Like I said, I do believe that he's trying to do something better. So, you know, our prayers is definitely out for him because, I mean, you could tell when somebody is different, you know what I'm saying? And just like he said, I mean, he said he was scared of himself. So, I mean, when he said slavery is a choice, I mean, like I said, there's some facts that he wasn't looking at. I mean, there's people that fought. I mean, that wasn't a choice, you know what I'm saying? And you got to look at it like this. Like, I mean, what if you had a whole family, right? I mean, like you had let's just say, you know what I'm saying? We're just going to say for the sake of something, you know what I'm saying? A man and a woman, they had children. And so, you know, therefore, they wanted to leave. And, you know, by leaving, you know what I'm saying, which actually would, you know, they could have their children killed or whatever the case may be. Because sometimes what they did was they separated the families. Like they would take the children and they would put them on another plantation. They'd be like, you know what, if you want to see your children again, then you're going to do right. You know what I'm saying? They could have ran away, you know what I'm saying? But then you risk the thing of not being able to see your children. So, you know what I'm saying? When he says that, you know, to sit down and then ask him, you know, okay, so you said this is about choice. So, you know, so what are you saying? So when he said, you know, we outnumber them, I mean, the facts showed that, yeah, we outnumber them, but you got to look at it. You know, I was talking to somebody and they were just like, you know, when they had certain slaves that some spoke different languages, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we just got to really just, like I said, it's time for the real leaders to really stand up and to be set apart from everybody that really, you know, these social media stars that, you know, they feel like, oh, well, just because they say something, you know, some people just say stuff and it's clearly on the left side, like they don't do facts or anything like that. That's why I said before I even said something about him taking these opioids, you know what I'm saying, I read up on it, like I did research, you know what I'm saying, like that was actually my degree. You know what I'm saying? Communication journalism. So, you know what I'm saying? And then there too, there is a moral, ethical thing of, you know what I'm saying, if you just come on and you just lying. And there are some people that just like drama. So therefore they exaggerate or they add things or, you know, they know how to make it look like it's something, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, like I said, with him taking that picture, you know, people could have influenced him to say whatever, you know what I'm saying? It didn't look like he, you know, he supporting Trump when he really was trying to say that he's trying to bring awareness you know, to the community or whatever. But, you know what I'm saying, I'm telling you, if he would have known that, I mean, think about it, he wouldn't have did that. But, you know, when you are 50 million, they said 53 million, it was a video I watched on The View. They said he was $53 million in debt or something like that. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of stress. And, you know what I'm saying, that could be, it's, you know, seen as pain. So, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, you trying to do something and you taking these opioids and it's making you feel better. And you ain't got to think about that or whatever the case may be, man. So that's what we got. This time for the real leaders to rise up and to, you know what I'm saying, do what's right, man, because that's what it's about, you know what I'm saying? And we need to show who the real leaders are, not just because, you know, you can play football or you can play basketball real well or anything like that, but, you know, to those that are standing up for what is right, you know what I'm saying, doing the right thing, those are the real leaders. So, you know, people say, oh, well, you know, they don't make this newsworthy. So what? We got social media. Like we can make what we want to be newsworthy. You know, we don't have to, you know, if the news don't want to do it, think about it. They making a choice. Well, this is what we're going to say is newsworthy. I mean, even Facebook, excuse me. I mean, even Facebook, admitted and they apologized after, you know, Trump got elected, that they said that they were making stuff newsworthy that really wasn't. Like if you know, when you go on your page and you swipe over, you can see what is trending. They was making stuff trend that they wanted to. I mean, so they make what they want to do and they apologize after the fact and all this stuff or whatever like that. But I mean, listen, that's what we got to do. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we got to be careful what we, you know what I'm saying, when we see and it's like, oh, well, that's just newsworthy. It's like, you know, we can make our own stuff. Like when somebody does something, you know, we look at what, you know, we even looking at Trump, you know what I'm saying, the fact that the WNBA, I think the Lynx, you know what I'm saying, they were the team that, you know what I'm saying, won the whole thing and they ain't get no invite to the, you know what I'm saying, to the White House, you know what I'm saying, but we all know what he said and how he treat women. So, you know what I'm saying? So we're just going to leave it at that. So So I want to say love y'all and God bless.